I like your shoes.
Look at this fine scenario. What do you notice about it? Well, typically it's just three shapes: squares, triangles, and pentagons. Typically they're talking to each other, having a fine conversation. But watch what happens in the end.
What is that triangle doing here? I think I'm gonna...
Look at the spectrogram for a few seconds. Do you see anything that is changing? If you're unsure about this scenario, listen to the audio.
I like your shoes. What is that triangle doing here? I think I'm gonna...
What did you catch? Did you see the lines spiking up? Take a closer look at it. These lines spiking up are called spikes. Spikes are tended to find out if the audio is super loud or actually ear-piercing. Pointing over here, this rainbow line is considered as a sound meter, also known as a decibel meter. This meter can be used to measure how loud or quiet a sound is. Let's take that audio that we heard earlier.
I like your shoes. What is that triangle doing here? I think I'm gonna...
How loud was the audio? The audio, approximately, was at 60 and 95. But wait, is there a 95 in place? No, only the numbers 0 all the way to 120. So let's summarize. The audio was at 60 and 90. So we can summarize and tell that the audio was loud. What about the numbers? Do they calculate the loudness and softness? Of course they do, according to the sound meter. Now have a glance at this spectrogram. Take a listen to the audio first.
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Did you catch that? The audio for this one is actually rough. So we can call this roughness. Roughness determines how hard or soft the decibels or the hertz were. But wait, did we talk about hertz yet? Hertz is a scientific term which is a unit used for measuring the frequency of sound waves. Now let's combine the previous spectrogram with the video that we saw earlier together.
I like your shoes. What is that triangle doing here? I think I'm gonna...
What did the first 4 spikes represent? The first 4 spikes represented clapping. How loud was the clapping? Typically, it is on average. Or you can call it mezzo forte. Mezzo forte means medium loud or loud on average. But what did the M stand for in mezzo? Mezzo means middle or on average. Let's look at the same video, but a different idea. Look at what's happening. Do you see the changes in segregation and movement? The movement was pretty high, but it was actually mezzo forte, or mezzo, which means middle. Let's look at the graph. This graph determines the segregation, the unhappy people, and the not-so-good people. The segregation people were at 45, and the unhappy people and the not-so-good people were equally at 0%. But why did this happen? This had to do with time and segregation. Segregation has to do with the practice of privacy based on races, religions, and etc. But why did the shapes move? This had to do with segregation and migration. Let's look at the shapes again. Do you see what's happening? The shapes are segregating and migrating from each other. But what is migration? Migration is the act of moving from one place to another. This can be considered as distance. And that is why people can live by each other, but sometimes they can cancel each other out. Do you want to feel like you're in a segregated place like a school? Probably not. We all want to be in a community. A fine community.